Welcome everyone to Rebel Talk Radio. I'm Kylie Renee.
Kelly Michelle.
Renee B.
And we are Rebel Talk Radio. So we're going to get right into it. Today's focus is, today we decided to do an author circle where we could feature some of our favorite authors. We have Renee B, who's our own Rebel Talk girl, woo, 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 with Beauty School Scarlet. She has her I'm Beauty inspired book, and then she has another book that she's co-authored that we'll get into. And then we have Logan, who has an awesome book, Casualty of Love, and we all have our copy.
Oh, I don't have my copy with me. It's on the table.
All right, so we're gonna talk about that. We're super excited to have Logan on. Our Blab. She's kind of an honorary Rebel girl, and so we love her. And then there's some other books that we have that I just happen to be reading. I have God Help the Child, a Toni Morrison novel, which is awesome. And then another book that I've been reading, my husband and I just started it, and I think I've gotten a little bit ahead of him, Between the World and Me. I don't know if everyone's had a chance to check that out, but that's a really great book and really hits on a lot of topics that are kind of going on in the world, especially in our community here in Chicago. And then Renee has some books that she wants to chat about. Renee, that's your cue.
Oh, so I couldn't hear because it got stuck. I think when I tweet, my computer gets stuck. So I think that's what happened. So what did you say?
You were going to you want to share the books that you are going to talk about, or we're going to talk about throughout the show today?
I'm sorry, what?
The books, the books that you are going to.
The other books. Yeah. So I have one of my good friends here, Toya Nicole. She's an author as well, a new author, and this is her book, Ordinary Women with Extraordinary Purpose. And she basically talks about, I love Toya. We all know Toya. Basically what she's talking about is her journey that she went to transform from her ordinary life into her extraordinary purpose, which is being an entrepreneur, and the things that she went through to get there within her relationships, her work. And she worked at the same company, I think, for like 15 years or something like that, straight out of college. And these are her experiences. And so I love this book, and this is a good book to look at. One day we'll have her on the show. And then this is another book. So this is a book of short stories called My Bad by LSH. LSH, she is really good friend of mine as well too. And Lavelle, what she has done with this book, it's a book of like short stories that are called shorties, and some of them are she acts them out. So she has someone to act out her stories as well too. So they're kind of like not necessarily erotica, but they're interesting stories that you can get into and be like, oh my God, like you not only read it, but you get the whole action behind it as well too. So this is another cool book. And then two other books actually. This is the book by a gentleman. This is Eric B. Horn. He's based here out of Chicago. How Professional is Your Development? And this is a good book for people who are in the professional area or who want to be more developed within that area of your career. And the last book is the Chicago author, Nikki Carpenter, When God Says Yes. So this is also a good book. And she talked about her trials and tribulations that she went through as a single woman to being now a married woman, and also just looking at different things in life and wondering when is God going to say yes to her. So this is a good book to also view.
Okay, awesome. All right, well, let's go ahead and get right into it. Logan, we got an open seat. We're waiting on you, girl.
Come on, Logan.
I know you said your lighting wasn't the best, but that's okay.
Neither is mine.
I look like I'm in heaven.
Hey, Logan.
Hey, Logan.
I'm spit my water out.
Props for choking.
Your face is like way down there.
I know.
Like,
I'm trying.
There we go. There we go.
There we go. I have my banner up, so I'm trying to show my banner, but it's not working out because I can't tell my right from my left because it's mirrored. So it's
Yeah.
like,
Right. I'm the same way.
You gotta
Well,
get
then
more often.
Right, let's get on into it. So tell us a little bit about yourself and this wonderful book. We've all got our copy. Whoop, 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 whoop.
yes, I have mine. Always have my copy. I come from a family of authors, I should say. I have several cousins who have published books, and it's always been something that I've loved to do in my free time. I started this book now 11 years ago,
Oh wow.
and life got in the way. So 4 kids, husband, kids with very heavy athletic schedules is a nice way to put it. They have a lot of commitments. So I got to a point to where my friend said, you just need to do it. And what's stopping you from doing it? So she all but harassed me. So every time I would say, oh my goodness, this is what happened, she would say, and that's why you should finish your book. So it became, I don't want to talk about what you're wanting to talk about. Let's get this book done. So with her encouragement, and then my cousin, Michelle Kimbrough, who is an awesome author, she kind of motivated me during National Novel Writing Month. And she kind of challenged me to just go ahead and start writing.
Okay, awesome. So you have 4 kids. How did you manage to get that done with 4 children? That's awesome in and of itself.
My husband is very supportive. And so it just happened. So it probably took me a year once I got focused and I would take a month off from writing just because baseball season gets very hectic. And this past season, all 4 of them played. I was a coach. I don't know what I was thinking. But I'm sitting in the car trying to type this love scene. And I'm like, this is not working for my life.
In between pitches, right?
I know. It's like in between everything that's going on in my life, I am always in the back of my mind thinking of the story.
Okay. So tell us about the book. So we have Alexandria Carter Ellis. Ooh. And this is, you guys, if you haven't picked up a copy or if you haven't read this book, you definitely need to pick it up. Get a glass of wine, light a candle, and curl up and read this book.
Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about the book itself.
I'm sorry, it's bugging me that I'm cut off. Okay. It's about Alexandria Carter Ellis is an entrepreneur, which is why I was very excited to get all of you guys copies, because she is entrepreneur. She's very driven, very focused on accomplishing and establishing herself as kind of like a sports publicist. She kind of manages your brand for you. She's in love. Well, see, by the end of the book, you may not want her to be you, because most readers don't. They kind of see how Alex is, and I like that because that's how I wrote her to be. But ultimately, she realizes that, hey, I'm kind of in love with this guy that I hired, Jared, and I think I want to make this work. Well, Jared comes with, this is what I want and this is what I need from a woman. And if you can't give me that, let's not even waste our time, which is all fine until her ex Boris comes back into the picture, which typically that's how a lot of my friends' relationships have gone, is someone from your past comes back and you don't know if they're there to kind of make up for lost time or if they're there to sabotage what you are trying to accomplish in your life. So that kind of, in a nutshell, love triangle. There are a couple more love triangles in the book. as well. I
And what was your-
apologize. That's my work phone.
That's okay.
Everybody's got a day job. Everyone's got a
Yes.
day job. So what was your inspiration behind this character?
She is a
Because she's
combination. Yes, she's a combination of a lot of different women in my life. Some of myself is there, my sister, my friends, of course. And then a lot of stuff that I see because I love to people watch.
Okay.
It's a lot of stuff that I see with different Facebook posts and characteristics of today's single woman.
Okay. All right.
Did any of your friends ask
You
you,
about to say
"Oh, is this about me?" Yeah, I was saying, did any of her friends ask if this was about them?
My friend who motivated me the most, it's so funny. Her new nickname is Alex because she was in that moment of I'm single and I'm ready to settle down, but it has to be the right everything. And just the same path that Alex went on. Oh, I love him. Oh, I want to be with him. She has gone on that same journey in the past year. So it's hilarious that some people say, is this your friend that the book is about?
Right.
So yeah, she definitely, I don't want to say she inspired, but she kind of did in a sense because
Okay.
I modeled Alex after, like I said, women in my life.
So I'm just curious because I'm the only non-author at this point. And I shouldn't say non-author because I write a lot, but haven't published anything. Well, Kylie, you're in the midst of being an author. Well, you are an author, you just haven't published. But I'm always curious as to how stories take form because I know being a actually English writing major in college, I knew I had to take this class. I think it was like fiction writing or something like that, and I was always at a loss for how characters came to be. I mean, I have a lot of people who live in my head, and so a lot of times when I write, I just say what they're saying. But for normal people, I'm wondering, how do you guys character develop? And so does it start from like, I just have this idea for a character and then the character takes on a life of its own, or do you have a story idea?
Two ways to answer the question. You can always have an idea of what you want a character to be, but you have to be open enough to allow them to have a voice. So I definitely did not start Alex the way that she ended up. Mm-hmm. It probably was 6 or 7 chapters in where I really started to develop her. Boris was set in stone. I can say he was the same. Exactly how I outlined him to be is exactly how he was. Same with Jared. There's a character, Sydney, that she was not supposed to have as much of a role as she did, but she ended up doing that because, I mean, she spoke to me in the way of, I have a story too. Mm-hmm.
So the characters just kind of develop themselves as you're going along?
Yes, in a sense they do. Now, the other end of that is in developing them, they may have shortcomings of people that I know, or they may be built up how I would like someone to be. So I can say, hey, Kelly, this character is modeled after you. And then you may say, yeah, but she doesn't have any kids. She works for this big corporation. That's totally not me. That's not what I'm about. Well, it's modeled after you.
Right.
But if I could take you and put you in this setting, this is how I think you would be. Mm-hmm. If that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense. Yeah. So I guess, go ahead, Kylie. You look like you're going to say something.
No, I was just cracking up about what you said, Kelly. You know, you have all these people that live in your head
I do.
and get, and you know, but that's really being an author. So even though you haven't, you know, written a book or whatever, sometimes I guess that's how it starts. Is you have these people living in your head and they have their own life, you know, somewhere in the world, right in your head, and you just start to develop this character and they just kind of unfold. So that's really great to hear that, you know, especially that you're inspired by the things around you, Logan. I think some of the best authors write from that point of view, from that vantage point, just inspired by things around them, things that they're seeing. And Facebook, honey, you can write a book about issues on Facebook.
I'm telling you, or even the conversations I have with my husband, there have been a couple where he's like, this cannot make it into any book that you ever write.
Right.
And deep down inside, I'm like, dang, he read my mind. This would be so good. But I have to, I respect that. So yeah, it just comes from conversations with people, and you always have that friend that calls and says, let me tell you about last night.
Right. Now, for Renee, your book is a little different because it's not necessarily a fiction story based on characters, but it's more of a journal and, you know, just kind of how you, I don't know, things that you know to be true, I guess. So how did you come up with that concept?
The way that I came up with this concept is I started writing a book. I started with my blog, and my blog is all about outer beauty. And every time that I wrote posts about outer beauty, I always felt like something was missing. And it was the inspirational part for me. And I've always been one to share quotes in the morning or share something on Facebook. And so I said, okay, how can I make inner beauty a part of this? So I started looking for inner beauty quotes, and they were few and far to come by. They really didn't exist on the internet. So I was like, okay, well, I'll write my own. I'm a writer. I can write my own. And so I started writing my own, got a great response, and that's how the book came about.
Cool. Now, how long did it take you, Renee, to from beginning to end? It took Logan 11 years to get her story out.
It didn't take me quite 11 years, but it did take me about when I first started the process. So I started in 2012 for blogging. And I think, you know, I published my book in 2014. So it took me about a year to find the quotes that I wanted, that I was happy with, and expanding on those quotes even more, because it's not just the book of quotes and affirmations. It's a book of quotes and affirmations with the meaning of them. And the meaning, and then it has questions at the end for the person to journal their thoughts. So it's a more interactive book. And I had to make sure that I had the right questions. I had to make sure I had the right quotes. And they're all about inner beauty. So finding the right things. And with inner beauty, for me, it's all about the different chapters are the beauty of strength, the beauty of courage, the beauty of wisdom, the beauty of inspiration, the beauty of motivation, the beauty of dreams, and the beauty of self-love. So there's 7 quotes per 7 chapters, because 7 is the number of completion. So it's a whole thought process for me, because once you finish reading the book, you'll have more of a completion about self-love for yourself after you finish reading the book.
Oh, Renee, you so deep.
I try.
That's funny. Logan, I want to hear one of your favorite passages from your book.
Oh my goodness, I've gone round and round about this. I love the entire book. That is like, which one is your favorite kid? I love the entire book. So usually what I do with stuff like this is I'll say, well, you just pick a page number and that'll be my favorite one. So the book is, without going too deep, I'll say pick a number between 10 and 180.
13.
13. What is 13 about? I almost have a feeling.
You said, what did I pick 13? Oh.
No, I said I all but know what 13 is about. And that really is, it's kind of one of my favorite parts. This is after Alex runs into Boris in Chicago, leaving Gino's East, which is one of my favorite pizza places. Actually, my only favorite pizza place in Chicago, even though I know there are far more other pizza places to choose from. Gino's just, I mean, I know it kind of ties to, I guess, the atmosphere and me growing up and always going there as a kid or having that pizza. So that's the one that I love the most. So she's leaving Gino's and she runs into Boris, which backstory for Boris is that he actually plays professional basketball in Spain. So running into him was like, oh my goodness, what are you doing here? Well, after a little exchange, they decide, hey, let's go have drinks, but Alex wants to change. And she just says, well, come with me back to my condo. I'm going to get changed. Well, Jared's there because they're visiting from out of town. Totally platonic in a sense. And so page 13 picks up with Alex and Boris walking in and Jared just being so caught off guard. So that's the backstory. And it's chapter 2 in Casualty of Love. Come on, camera. There we go. Chapter 2 in Casualty of Love. Boris and Alex laughed as the elevator doors opened to the condo's entryway. They were enjoying each other's company as friends. As they entered the condo, they found Jared wrapped up on the couch watching ESPN with a notepad, pen, and his iPad. He looked like a deer caught in headlights. His excitement for her return was short-lived as he realized Alex was not alone. Boris, this is my colleague, Jared. Jared, this is my friend, Boris. Alex made the intros and didn't stop to formally introduce the two. Jared knew exactly who Boris was, but had no clue the two knew one another. Nice to meet you, Boris. I've seen you play in the EuroLeague. Didn't know Alexandria knew you. Jared was thrown for a loop. Boris's name had never come up in the past. What's up, Jared? Nice to meet you. Alex and I were actually engaged. But she broke things off right before I moved to Spain. Cole dissed me and broke my heart. It took a long time for me to recover, but I'm surviving. Thank goodness I was leaving the country because Alex had me, man. She's pretty damn special. So from there, of course, Jared's like, I need to talk to her. She never told me about this. Never knew she was engaged. He's trying to figure out his feelings for her. And Alex is kind of like, yeah, I'm getting ready to change into and I think it actually says it in the book as a fuck you, Jared dress. And I'm going to go out with this other man. So I think, yeah, 13 was a good pick, Kelly.
That was good. Thanks. So I'm always curious, do you use your characters to do and say things that you wish you could, do and say? Anybody, either
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's a running joke around my office with our CEO, oh my goodness, that I'm going to write him as a character in my third book. He will be the husband character, and this character is going to die. So it's always a joke with, well, are you going to be nice to me? Because you could die in your sleep, or you could be bludgeoned to death. So yes, absolutely. Stuff that I wish I could say. Maybe a conversation something can be loosely based on a conversation, and I wish I would have said something, but you can definitely speak through your characters. I know my other cousin, Lena Hampton, she does it all the time in her books. She's like, well, if they make you mad, just kill them off in your book.
That's funny.
I like that.
Yes.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, thanks a lot, Logan. We definitely appreciate you sharing your book with us, and we're excited to have you, as well. I'm going to try and finish reading this up tonight. I kept, the only time I get a chance to read is late at night when everybody's sleeping. You know how it is with kids and their schedules and all that kind of stuff. And my husband's coming in like, where's my plate? I don't know. It's in the refrigerator. Wherever you left, that's where we keep food, in the refrigerator.
Yes.
I admire your determination, and I appreciate you signing the book, and I also got my digital autograph from you now. And letting us read your book and hear your story. And so big props to you, because I love entrepreneur. What do you call it? Mompreneurs.
Mompreneurs, yes.
Mompreneurs, 'cause that's what you are. That's what you are, as a mompreneur, and that's awesome. And you see my husband on saying, "Watch it, sucker." Me talking about him finding his place. So, so big props to you. We definitely want to hear about your next project coming up soon and what's going on with that.
Oh, yes. The next book is the prequel to Casualty of Love. It does focus on how certain relationships became to be that are revealed in Casualty of Love. And then I am also working on the, I guess you can say, third installment, which would be the final one, because there is I honestly thought people would not like Jared as much as they did, but he has quite the following. People really like him. I probably have a handful of fans that are like, okay, so what's the deal with him? There has to be something. So that's what you will get in book. You kind of get a taste of it in the first book, and because everybody has a past, and then you catch up with him, Alex, in the third one.
Cool.
And those will release this year. And my husband told me not to put a date on it because he knows how I get if I say, okay, well, this book will release April, blah, blah, blah. So come April, blah, 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 if there's a holdup, editing, cover, anything, he'll have to live with me. So he's like, wait a minute, no. How about we just say you're going to release these 2 books this year?
That's cute.
That's awesome. That is really awesome.
Well, thank you guys. And I will post my links in the chat. I've been trying to watch the chat while watching you guys, but I'm sure that I've missed a couple of things. But yes, I will post my links in the chat. Thank you guys for having me on.
Post where folks can buy your book.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I was going to say. People buy your book.
Yeah.
It is on Amazon, and it is also on Barnes & Noble. But I always encourage people, you can order it directly from me, and I'll autograph it, kind of like what Renee does. If you order it from me, I'll autograph it for you, and I'll put my email address in the chat as well.
Awesome.
For those
definitely include that.
want that.
Yes. Fabulous.
Well, I'll
right.
still be on the side. I'm going to hop off so other authors can hop on. Thank you, ladies. And I love the podcast. I absolutely love the podcast.
Thank you, honorary rebel girl.
Right, I was going to say the same thing.
And I'm going to move so that you guys can see my banner that I tried.
Oh, love.
I love that.
How cute.
That's awesome.
Look at you. Props.
You guys are so inspirational.
All right. I'll chat with you ladies.
All right,
Enjoy the rest of the cast. Bye.
Bye, honey.
Bye. All right, cool. That was awesome. And so our next featured author is Renee B., our own rebel girl. Go, Renee. I'm your hype man.
Right.
So you can go ahead and share one of your passages with us. One of your favorite beauty quotes there. So this is Renee's book. I am beauty inspired. And she has affirmational quotes and stuff. And I just love this book. You can read it over and over again. Doesn't matter the day, the time. Every morning I went through.
It feels so warm and fuzzy inside, doesn't it?
You do. But I used Renee's book. I read it every morning. So at first I would pray, read my little. I have a little mini Bible that I got from my grandmother. Not really a Bible, but just little verses from the Bible and things from the Bible. And I would also follow it up with Renee's book. And really, it helped me get through a very difficult time. So outside of Renee being my friend, helped me through a really really challenging time with her book, and I appreciate that. So I want
Don't do it to me. Do not make me cry on
cry.
Oh my God, you're so dead tomorrow.
I hurt you. And then she showed
Sheila,
coughing.
can't, not today.
So go ahead and share with us your favorite quote from the book.
You know, my quotes, actually my favorite quotes vary, and it just depends upon the day. Sort of like what Logan said is with her different chapters or parts of her book. And today I would say my favorite part is beauty is having the audacity in believing in your dream, that believing in your dreams can come true. And the reason why that's one of my favorites today is because of what comes after that. When we have the audacity to believe in our dreams, it makes us stand out. It's like, oh my God, I know that my dreams come true. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. So what it says in here is that, did you know that dreams were made to come true? But only if you have the nerve to believe they can. Do you have the audacity to believe that dreams can come true? I do. Not only do I believe, I know it. Today, I challenge you to have the audacity to believe that your dreams can come true. I challenge you to take the first step in allowing your dreams to come to fruition. But understand, when you take the first step toward living your dreams, you're opening the door for something amazing to happen. Be prepared. Don't be scared or turn back. Keep moving forward and make things happen. What will you do? Do you have the audacity to make your dreams come true? Or will you be afraid that they will actually come true? May your day be filled with making your dreams come true. And then the part of it that I love the most is, please take some time to reflect on what this quote means to you and write your thoughts below. And then there's an action plan for this, is to create a vision board. So we're in the time of that year where you start to create your vision boards. So create a vision board, find pictures of people, places, and words and phrases that change or of things of what you want to accomplish over the next couple of months. Glue or tape the inspirational pictures on your board and hang them in a place where you can admire them. Speak those things to an existence and watch your dreams come true. And that happens is when you speak things into existence, you have the audacity to believe that your dreams can come true. And so that's one of my favorite quotes in my book.
Cool. So how do you, some days I just don't feel good. And if I don't feel good, I can't write about nothing happy. I can't. How do you,
Right.
And now my screen comes down, right?
It happens. It happens.
Bump it. It's the bump. It's the butt. It's the butt. I got on jogging pants, right? So,
thank God you don't have on pajama bottoms today.
Right. I initially did. And I figured, something, what can go wrong will go wrong. And so I
at least you have on bottoms.
That's true.
Good, Kelly. But anyway, so sometimes, how do you speak from the heart like that and really connect with your readers and your listeners and really give that, because, everybody doesn't feel good every day. And I know, like the other day, you did not feel well. You didn't want to talk to nobody or do nothing, so how do you could just continue to give these thoughts of inspiration? Where do you pull this from?
It's so funny because I don't write. Sometimes I write quotes in advance. It's very rare, but if I do write them in advance, they usually get changed. So I don't post quotes until usually the morning of. And the reason why I do that is because I don't necessarily get the inspiration until right then and there. And it's from me reading usually an affirmation or two from somewhere else. So I have a couple of apps that I go to, a couple of Bible verses, me meditating. So I take the time to do that in the morning, and then I think about what is it that comes to me that I need to post. And that's usually where my quote comes from. Picking the quotes in the book were very hard for me. So I had to reach out to some of my friends who didn't necessarily know me that well and send the info, but I trusted for them to look at the information first. So I would have them look at the information and say, okay, not necessarily what does this quote need to say, but does this quote speak to you? In order for it to go in the book. So I sent like a list of 100 quotes to a couple of different friends. And I said, pick out the top 10 that you like out of all of these quotes. And that's the way that I came to making the book and the chapters in the book and picking the quotes.
Okay.
But no, I am not always inspired.
Yeah. And then you've done some really great things with your book. You've connected to be a mentor for some girls through your book. Tell us a little bit about that.
So I am on the board and also a consultant for and a mentor for Love Mentoring. And lovementoring.org, if you guys can visit there, the website there is an amazing organization for young girls and women in grade school and in high school. And we mentor them through their lives as they go on to inspire and empower them to be the best that they can be. So that is part of what I'm doing, but I'm also expanding that and doing workshops. So I've done several workshops for youth organizations. I want to partner with some churches, also with some schools, and they don't necessarily have to be in the Chicago area. They could be in the surrounding within the Midwest. So I am looking to partner with different schools, churches, and organizations to deliver some of these workshops. And the workshops are not just beauty from within, they're also outer beauty as well too. So I have another book. I don't have it here because it's just an ebook. So I'll show you guys here. So this is the outer beauty part, and it's the secret guide to, I'm beauty inspired, the secret guide to flawless tricks and beauty treats. So what this is the outer beauty piece. It talks about ingredients and how to pick the right products. It talks about makeup. It talks about when to throw your products away. So things that young women wouldn't necessarily be exposed to or have gone to have that experience from their parents. Because my mother didn't teach me about makeup. I learned on my own. My mother never wore makeup. She wore it one time in her life. And that was because I had her wear it at my wedding when I got married. Now I'm divorced. But that's a whole nother story.
Life with no brows. Who child? Without no brows.
Right. And you
I'm gonna look like Chase. I'm gonna look like my son. Without brows and lashes, I will look like my child. Like a little adolescent boy.
Oh my God, y'all are twins.
The only thing that separates us is the gloss. A little blush, little gloss. Otherwise, I would look like a little adolescent boy. So I don't see it like my grandmother never wore makeup. I don't get it. I don't either, but it is what it is. So I bring the two books together to develop a workshop, and then I've taken that on to do etiquette coaching where it's all one big piece. Okay. Do you ever see yourself maybe starting your own girls mentoring group at some point?
I don't know. I'm really happy with Love Mentoring and working with them and helping Felicia, the founder, with expanding that. So that is where I'm a part of right now. I don't feel like I've been called to necessarily start my own mentoring group, but that can be changed. I don't know, what's in the cards for me in the future, but as of today, no.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Cool. I'm just trying to keep up with the chat things on the side. Logan, I'm just getting into doing makeup. So we have Richard who wants to join in. Let me go ahead and let you pop in, Richard, if you have a book that you'd like to share.
Hi.
How are you? Welcome.
Yeah, anyway, how are you all?
We're great.
Oh, okay.
Awesome.
Anyway, I'm just one small guy in between three big ladies. I hope you people don't.
How lucky are you?
Definitely, I'm really lucky. Anyway, I'm Richard and I'm from Ghana, all the way from Ghana. So whose show is it? Whose show is it?
This is all of our show. This is our Rebel Talk.
Then that means your show is becoming an intercontinental show, and I just hop in and realize women are here. So women are more closer to their girls. So as a man, I wanted to share something small. And anyway, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to re-echo what you said, beauty school alerts. You were just saying things and say now you are divorced. But anyway, I wanted to chip in a little bit things that our mothers can carry on to our girls, our sisters. The truth is, you are talking about beauty. Women, what defines you is your beauty.
Absolutely.
If you are a woman, I'm talking from a matured man point of view. And every reasonable man a man who has got conscience, no matter how pious he is, no matter how Holy Ghost filled, as Christians will say, there are things we can't do away with. And there are things that no matter the Holy Ghost you call upon me, it won't work as a woman. And this is how it goes. For a woman, before a man, you must always look beautiful. What do we call by beauty? It's not how your nose is manicured. It's not how your eyes has popped out. It's not how your lips are bumpy. It's not how, sorry to say, big backs you've got. That is not beauty for men. Because when you tell me about your figure and how your body has been manicured, that is your beauty. With time, my eyes will get faded to it. I won't see that thing again. But what will keep me on seeing you more beautiful? That each and every other day, I think my wife looks new. Each and every other day, I think I have to repropose to my girlfriend. Each and every other day, when he asks me something, I say, yes, my dear. Each and every other day, I want to hurry up and get home and meet her. Even if boys want to meet together and do their stupid chat, I said, no, I have to rush to my woman. I've missed her. What will be that instant is how you keep yourself.
Right. And to go along with what you're saying, I think that's what Renee's book talks about, how not only to be beautiful on the outside, but also beautiful on the inside. That's exactly what we're talking about today.
Perfectly. And
Thank you for that. That was great.
Yeah. And you ladies know that for men, they are always ungrateful. Anything is skirt, they will chase. Even if a monkey is wearing skirt today, the man will chase it. I'm not arguing. Maybe you people are telling the truth. The majority of men are like that. Anything they see, they want to chase. There is something in men which is inevitable. You can't take it away from them. No matter what you do, you can't take it away from them. And this is it. What first attracts us to chase anything in skirts is how they look.
I think that's an excellent point. You're absolutely right about that.
Yes. How do they look? Is it because she has got a big breasted? No. Because she's Coca-Cola shaped? No. Because she has got some round ball eyes that has popped out a little? No. It's about how you've done your hair, how you've done your makeup, which kind of earring are you wearing, even your dress, how they match with your shoes and your bag can even be an aphrodisiac for a man. That is why when a man meets you with you today and sleep with you today, then tomorrow the same man is dodging. The reason why he's dodging is that what he saw first and chased you up for all the rest of his life, he's no more seeing it.
Well, Richard, from one female to a guy, I appreciate your appreciation for the aestheticism of the woman and the woman's whole aura. I really appreciate you jumping on, giving us a male perspective about how important it is, because I do think as a wife, I've been married for 17 years now, and as a mom and a working person, it gets very easy to allow yourself not to do your best. And I don't think that necessarily makes up what our beauty is about, but it does say to the outside world how we do feel on the inside. Because I know when I'm feeling horrible and raggedy, I might put on a hat and some gloves or some glasses and go out to the grocery store, and that's an outward expression of how I feel inside. And I think that, as getting back to Renee's book about how do we express our inner beauty all the time, so that the way that we feel on the inside is always expressed on the outside. And that's not necessarily by, makeup and putting on dresses or whatever, but it's also about how you carry yourself and how you express to the world how you're feeling on the inside. So I want to thank you, Richard, for jumping on and giving us that perspective, because that's so important. And I know a lot of times on our blab, it's all us girls chatting. Although we do have T. Rue on the line, I don't want to forget about you.
Yeah.
But you know, a lot of times it's us girls chatting about those things,
Right.
and I think that the other perspective is very important as well. So we thank you for that.
Thank you too. So have a nice time, all of you. Bye
Bye-bye.
bye.
Thanks for joining and come back.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was awesome.
That was awesome. But and that was some, you know, again, it's so easy for us, you know, get caught up in what it is that we're doing on a daily basis that we do forget to, you know, to feel our best and look our best. And I think that you know, what Renee's book, it teaches us and inspires us, as you said, Kylie, when I was feeling really bad. Shameless plug. When you were feeling really bad or going through some things in your life, those affirmations about inner beauty and how to feel your best on the inside really helped you make it through. So, Renee, tell us some more about, you know, what's going on with you.
So my next step of what I'm doing is I am working on my third book. Well, sort of, kind of. And that book is hashtag, it's all about I'm Beauty Inspired. So it's hashtag I'm Beauty Inspired. And it's a 30-day, it's hashtag I'm Beauty Inspired, mind, body, and soul 30-day challenge is what it's going to be.
Ooh.
So it's all about talking about the mind, body, and soul and making a challenge all about it. So I'm excited about that. That's going to come out sometime this year. I'm not really sure when, but it's definitely coming out this year.
Awesome.
Also said I'm going to be an etiquette coach, so I'm working on the website for that. So stay tuned for scarletbeautymedia.com, where you can see about my being an etiquette coach and all the other workshops that I do.
Awesome. Well, look, I don't know why my two new besties got all this beauty stuff going on, and I ain't had a makeover yet. I ain't got
Right.
no lashes. I ain't got no red lipstick.
It's coming. It's coming. It's coming.
I ain't got nothing but a ponytail.
Mm-hmm.
I fought you all.
That's funny. I want to talk about Kylie, because Kylie's got this awesome book that I heard a excerpt from. Yeah, I'm putting you all up on the spot like that. Don't you worry.
You call me, huh?
Yeah, I'm calling you out. And I want Kylie to talk about her book and when it's coming. I want her to put a date on when it's coming out. And I want her to kind of give us a little bit about what's going on with it.
Well, I'm going away this month to finish up the book. It's called Becoming Big Girl. And it just talks about my life and just kind of my journey of coming into womanhood, experiences that I've had and all of that. And it's been a very, I don't know, it's a very scary thing to put, because I'm so sensitive about my art and things that I create, and it really is art for me, you know, and something healing about the process of writing that has been, I don't know, just really has helped me along the way these last couple of years. And I think that I give huge props to anybody that writes a book, that writes poetry and shares it with the world, because that's the hardest thing. And I think, Renee, your event was the first time that I actually shared it with someone outside of my husband, you know, and even then I wouldn't read the whole, you know, I would just read a quick thought to him and see what he thought about it. But yeah, it's something that's very scary. So I will very soon. It will be coming out very soon. My goal is to finishing up this month. You know, and go from there. But here's a quick excerpt. I have a couple favorite parts in the book, and I share one at Renee's event, and then this chapter is called "How Do You Bottle That?" And so I'm just going to read a quick section of it if we have time. It says, "I will watch other people closely growing up, trying to figure out if they lived like me or not. Was their neighborhood like mine? Did they have teachers that smoked in class and then sprayed the purse-sized perfume afterwards? Did their mom make cheesy bread in the broiler sprinkled with sugar? Man, that was the best. I mean, I read about exotic places and where people spoke different languages and ate a colorful cuisine, but where were the other regular folks from? All the folks I knew came from where I came from. I remember watching the television shows with both parents at home with their kids, helping with homework, cooking dinner, and all sorts of awesome shit." Excuse me, I curse. I'm a Christian, but I curse sometimes. where were these people? I remember going to my friends' houses, some with both parents and some not, but none of us live like that anymore. Everybody was always leaving one job to head to the next or going to school and working. Everybody had a hustle and a day job. Thinking back, it was exhausting to watch. People working just to exist all the time. For the latter part of my childhood, my mother worked days at the local college, left there to work at a clothing store in the mall, stopped at home for a hot minute to make sure we ate, and then headed to her night job at the gas station. This woman had hustle and nobody on TV or real life hustled like my mom. I remember thinking, when the hell is this woman going to sleep? Somewhere along there, I'm not sure when, she also went to college part-time. I would walk past her room and stare at her collapsed in her book. I would sneak the book closed and turn out her light. I hoped she would finish soon just so she could rest. I spent most of my afternoons after school helping my brother with his homework, watching Fab Five Freddy. Now I'm dating myself, right? Watching Fab Five Freddy and talking on the phone. We were not allowed to go outside when my mom wasn't there, so we walked the 1 block home from school at a snail's pace. We made only one stop on the way, and that was at a candy store to grab a Little Debbie fudge brownie. I'm still a big girl, right? It was a necessity at least a few days a week. I thought it made me seem cool to not have to rush home. I had 40 minutes easy before my mom was home to shoot the breeze and stroll on home. I felt like a caged bird, though. I wanted to run the streets like with everyone else. The rules, expectations, and demands of a caged child weren't fair at all, especially since I was forced to watch a miniature bully like my brother. As he got older, his mouth grew faster than his height. I had to fight at least twice to avoid him getting in trouble. He would use his words to beat someone up all day in class like a Mike Tyson 1-2. The other kids would tell him all day they were going to kick his ass. Did that matter? Hell no. After school, it would be 6 or 7 boys ready to jump him. Most of them I would be able to scare away. Then he decides to talk about their mamas, which causes the siblings to get excited, which brings on the kids in my grade or higher. After I had to get one of the neighborhood boys involved in the last case, I pleaded with him to stop. After threatening to take away his fudge brownie after school fix for life, he finally complied. I want to fast forward past all the boring years of being a kid and be the confident, fearless woman I saw in my mother. Watching her hustle hard and day in and day out and still maintain her sanity was baffling. I thought at any point, if she lost it for a little bit, she would be totally justified. I figured I would just take care of her until she pulled it back together. I was prepared at any time to defend her to anyone that wanted to be less than understanding to what was happening in our lives. Lucky for my brothers and I that time never came. I had read in other books about strength and determination of women throughout history, obstacles and adversity they faced. I would substitute their descriptions for my mother's face. As my eyes danced across the pages, I imagined that my mother freed slaves, invented the hot comb, and even broke fortune. She was one of those women. I wanted to bottle all of who she was and fill the empty parts of it with me. So that was just a quick excerpt from one chapter, how he bottled that. So that's hard trying to share that. So I can't imagine like once it's actually released. So I'm scared. I'm scared. I'm very scared. So this is going to be, I don't know, at a starting businesses and probably 8 businesses now that I've had over the years. This is probably going to be the scariest venture to take on, is to release this book.
Yeah, I think part of the reason why it's so scary is because writing is so personal. I don't know if I've told you guys this story or not, but I know when I was in school, and again, I was a writing major, and you would always have to turn in. So I had a ton of writing classes and poetry classes and things like that to make us not make us creative, but help the creative process. And you know how you would have to turn in drafts. I would never turn in drafts. I never ever turned in a draft. I only turned in a final project, and my teachers would be like, "Kelly, we need to make sure you're on the right, on the right course." And I'm like, "No, I get what I get when I turn it in," because I was so, what's the word I'm looking for? So I wanted to, keep it to myself until I absolutely had to share it. And I didn't like people giving me input on what my characters should do and say. And I'm like, no, they're not your characters. That's not what I want them to say. And I was just, so what is the word I'm looking for? Like protective of everything. And I think that not being a published author or even in the midst of writing a book, I think that's part of why it's such a frightening experience to release it to the world. And now you get people commenting on it, and it lives and grows, its own life with other people, when you really want to just kind of keep it to yourself. But I think that's just part of the process.
I think that it's like Erykah Badu has said it best. I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my shit. I mean, it is what it is. And that's what, authors and musicians and artists, we are all like that, is that we are very sensitive about what we put out there because of what we write it and do it for us.
Right.
But we're also wanting to put it out there for people to enjoy. But the big part that you're afraid of is, what if they don't enjoy it?
Yeah.
What happens then? I write stuff and put stuff out there every day. And as much as I try to not look at the likes, I mean, I'm always like, oh my God, somebody liked that. Yay. But I write it for me, but it's also, I want people to enjoy it at the same time.
Yeah. And I was watching something, and I don't remember what it was, earlier this week, where the same subject was coming up about, putting stuff out for, the masses. And I think it was about movies or something having to do with television. And whoever was talking was saying that, whether or not people like it is less important than the fact that it's out there and it's appreciated, even if it's appreciated to the point where people have an opinion to not like it, and I think that is part of art. Like, you don't have to necessarily like my art, but can you appreciate what it is that I'm trying to get across? Even if you disagree, even if you absolutely hate it, even if it's fundamentally different from anything that you are about, can you at least appreciate it to the point where we can even have that debate or conversation or argument or whatever? And I think that just as being a writer, as an artist, and I don't write an awful lot, but I do still consider myself a writer. That's what I've always done in some capacity. It's still about the art of writing and the art of expression more than anything. And I think that you have to give it wings and let it go and be okay with people not liking it. I think that's part of the process, a part of the aestheticism of it.
Yeah. You always say that people are going to either like you or they're not going to like you, and that's okay. You have to just be able to deal with that. Yeah. But at least I was brave enough to put it out there.
Yeah. I would rather people not like it than not care. Like, it's some stuff that I'm so indifferent to that I don't even have an opinion about. And I think that that's far worse than me having an opinion to say, what, I totally disagree with that, or I don't like it. And so I think that even if people come out where they can, violently disagree or, say, I really hate that, at least there's some passion in it. And I think that's a good thing. I mean, I might be kind of, weird when I say stuff like that, but that's just how I think about the art of writing and the art of art itself. If you've ever been to the NOMA Museum in New York, it's some strange shit in there. And I'm sure when the artists developed it, they were like, by all means, I hope people think this is strange. And so I'm like, accomplished. That's great. Because at least I'm standing here long enough to view it to say, that's kind of weird, but I'm at least giving it time. I'm not walking past it like I don't even care about that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But then how do you, when you're writing and you're writing about something so personal, how do you, it's scary for me to put some things out there, because there are things that I haven't even talked with my family about, that I just kind of, that I've put in this book that, I just haven't shared with anybody else. And it was kind of my healing process for me. But how do you put it out there? And Logan, says on the sideline, she said, and Logan, again, for those of you who just joined us, she was on with us earlier. She's the author of Casualty of Love. But she said that she read the beginning of a love scene in front of my mother-in-law, and her husband's grandmother.
Oh,
and I'm just not ready. I'm not ready. So even, some of the things, even that part that I wrote about my mother, and, I know that was a very difficult time for our family and her working and trying to go to school and make a better life for us and all of that. But how do you do that? Just how do you You know what I mean? Like I'm just nervous just thinking about it. See, I'm like stuttering.
Yeah.
I totally get what you're saying, Kylie. I think that, for me, the hardest part was putting something in there in a quote, and also not just sharing the quote, but my poetry. I don't normally share my poetry. My poetry is usually for me, and I have 2 poems that I've added to this book. And one of them is about an abusive relationship and the domestic violence. And the domestic violence was about me and my life, not just me, but my mother. So not only am I putting me out there, but I'm putting my mother out there as well, too. And I'm talking about a subject that we tend to shy away from. That was the hardest thing for me to do, but it was something I had to do because there are other people who will either benefit from this or who will learn something from it, or who will, like Kelly said, disagree with it, but it's a topic that needs to be talked about. So if I can get people to talk about it, that makes all the difference in the world. But I hope that I can help somebody through it.
That's true.
Yeah, and I like what the real Leah, I hope I'm reading that right, the real Leah MCD says. I think it comes down to a true acceptance of yourself and your work. It's mindset work we have to do and not worry about someone else. Absolutely. And just coming from a clinical background and also, loving Dr. Phil. My husband was like, what is it with you and Dr. Phil? Because I TiVo him every day. But he always talks about, this being your truth. And it doesn't necessarily have to be true for other people. It might be a different perspective on a same situation, especially when you're dealing like with your parents and things like that. Like whatever happens, when you tell the story and the impact that it had on you, your mother's likely to be like, that's not what happened. But for you, that's your truth. And that's okay. And people have to understand that this is my truth and this is how I saw it. And this is how the impact that it had on me. And this is, from my perspective. And it may not have even been the same kind of situation for you, but from my eyes as a child, or my eyes as a wife, or my eyes as, a bystander, this is what it looked like to me. And this is what it felt like. And that's your truth. And no one can say that that was not true, or that didn't happen, or, that's not how it went. Well, that is how it went for me.
Right. Yeah, it is very, very scary. And even so, one of the hardest excerpts I shared at Renee's event, and that was just really hard. And I think I was shaking the whole time. So it's a process. I'm getting over it. I'm not generally a person that starts something and not finish it. So I am going to get this out there. Like you said, this month, I'm going away to finish up the rest of it, clean it up. I have 8 chapters, completed and ready to go. So I think I just have to kind of read it to myself just to kind of get that level of confidence, I guess, to, send it out there to the world. So it's coming soon. Yes, it's a process. It is really a process. So any of you that are out there, we thank you for joining us. If you can just click tweet, tell a little birdie, that would be great. And if you guys have books that you've written, we'd love to hear from you. We'd like to hear about your book. If you want to share a small excerpt, this is, shameless plug hour, right? So right. We want to hear from you. And I think there's a sense of empowerment, right? Renee's holding up her book, right? There's a sense of empowerment with having a community like this, like Blab, and a community of creative minds and creative energies, and being able to share their works and all of that. So if there's anyone else out there, thanks for joining us. Hannah, Leah, all those folks that just hopped on, we appreciate it. And we have Jillian, thanks for joining us again. Hope all is well. Chris, thanks for hopping on. Andre, and Yamika. So if you have a book or some poetry you'd like to share, shameless plug hour. So just hop on into the open seat. It's open there.
So I have a question. So for all of us would-be, wanna-be potential authors, what do you guys say? What do you guys think is good advice for people who may be thinking about writing a book, not quite sure how to do it, or it's overwhelming or scary? What is your advice?
Just do it. I mean, that is my one thing that I tell everybody who comes to me and says, I want to be an author. What do I do? Just do it. Just write. Because if you start writing, and it's so funny because Leah just said the same thing, just start writing.
And everybody said it.
Same thing, just start writing. Because when you start, you will get your juices flowing, you'll get your thoughts going, and just keep doing it. And don't worry about the editing. Kylie, I'm sorry, I have to call you out.
Then one eye just goes cross, right?
Right. Don't worry about the editing portion of it. Just write until you just keep going and going, because that'll get you going. And I mean, Nike has the best slogan. Like I said, just do it. Just do it.
Yeah. You know, my biggest fear is for me to have like a sentence that's not correct or something, the flow not to make sense. And then, you know, next thing you know, you're on, you know, The View and they're talking about how horrible of a writer you are.
No, I read something in my book and something was wrong. I'm like, you know what? There's nothing I can do. It's already out there. I had a publisher, and that's part on their editing. So, you know, hey, what can I do?
Yeah.
And you know, and the funny thing about that, Kylie, because of what I do in terms of helping people with their messaging, I'm always reading people's writing that is so phenomenally bad and so like grammatically incorrect. And I'm going, oh my God, like, did you actually put this flyer out there? But the people who are doing it, and I think I said this before on one of our earlier podcasts, the difference between the people who do it and the people who don't is that they do it. Because they don't care about editing. They don't care about, you know, I shouldn't say don't care. They don't think so. They don't overthink, you know, is this correct? I was on someone's blog yesterday, a graphic designer, and she had like a, I guess a special for the year or something. And so she had this really cute little box talking about her special for the year. And it was like all throughout her blog, like 4 or 5 times. And in every one, it was wrong. And I'm going, oh my God, can I please edit your blog? But, you know, not to say that you should not care about mistakes, but it is something about overthinking stuff. And, you know, and you can be paralyzed with the details. Just do it, hand it over to someone else who can honestly read it and go through it, and then just let it go.
Mm-hmm. I read the blog and I
bring it down, Renee, a little bit.
Let's see. I read one recently where I've read several where there's tons of mistakes within there. And it happens. People try and get their information out. They try and get their blogs out first. They try and get their books out first. They want to be at the top of the list. And so, yes, there are going to be mistakes. And that's just realizing that perfection doesn't exist, and it's okay.
Absolutely.
As long as you can get the message across, I think that's what the important thing is. And you can go back and fix some of those other things later.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah, well, I am definitely, you know, I'm going to set a date for next month. And, you know, my goal is definitely to get this out there. And it's pretty much done. And maybe offline, I'll let you ladies read it, you know.
Oh, you will.
So, you know, and then the other part of it is, for me, is the business side of it, because I do so much, you know, in terms of business coaching and entrepreneurship and that kind of stuff. And I love that piece of it and getting people to the point where they can start and launch their business. And that's something I've launched, you know, 8 businesses between my husband and I, and we've done very well with them, with each of them that we've launched. But, you know, it's something about putting out your voice, you know, and that creative. Same thing when I paint. You know, I've only given away my art to my mom, you know, and I have
amazing pieces.
Yeah, and one of my Jack and Jill moms, she's asked me to do a piece for her, for her house, and I'm just like cringing because I'm like, you mean you want me to put something else that I've painted into your house that everybody else is going to look at? Mm-hmm. So, you know, so I'm wrestling with
art piece too, Kylie.
Say that again.
I said I need an art piece too.
Yeah, that's one of those things. She'll be one of those people that when she goes on and transitions to the next world, that it'll be all of these things that we talk about her and be like, oh my God, not only was she this great author, but she's this great artist too. Who knew? And then it's going to be worth millions of dollars.
I'm gone. That'll be fine once I'm gone. But as of now, I'll just keep them in my little, room and stack up the letters and poems and notes and artwork and just, it is what it is. But, I'm excited about at least the opportunity and putting it out there. Something that's cleansing about the whole process and about getting it out there. And really, therapeutic, the best therapy, I think. And like you said, Renee, there's somebody out there that's going through it. And I think, especially when I talk about some of the moments from my childhood, there is somebody else out there, that is possibly going through the same thing, the exact same thing. So we have Jason that wants to hop on. Jason, can you hear us? Are you there?
Looks like he's trying to connect. Somebody's giving him love for trying to connect. Maybe not.
Jason, do you have a book that you want to share with us?
There he is.
How are you?
Oh, it's got a bad connection.
How are you, Jason?
Hi, Jason.
I think you're freezing on us.
Somebody's giving Jason a ton of props.
Man, love Jason. Can you hear us?
Audio only.
Hey, Jason,
now.
I'm going to kick you and then try and hop back on. Maybe it's your audio or your internet connection. So if you want to hop back on, I just kicked you and then you can try it again. Sometimes, we have these little quirks that happen with Blab, and it's okay. It's cool. We're still in beta stage, as they say with Blab. But it's an awesome platform. I can't say enough things about Blab and just being able to have a voice, especially for Jason. We didn't kick you because of that. We were kicking you because we couldn't hear you. Your image came up, but it froze. So go. I just want you to just try it again. So I did say that we kicked you and. So you could come back on. So I hope you're not offended, but you were stuck there.
And everything is not about race, Jason.
Yeah, it's not, hon, at all. At all. So we'd love to hear about what you're doing, and if you have a project that you're working on or a book, we'd love to hear about it. I think we just had a poor internet connection, which these kind of glitches happen with Blab all the time. So we kicked you that you could come back on. So the seat is still open if you want to try it. Try it again. Or if you have a link for your book that you'd like to share, that we can visit. And Logan says, do any of us do Blabs individually? I don't know, Renee, have you? I've done one individually that I hit the replay because it was so bad. But I am going to start doing it for my consulting end of things. Renee, have you done any Blabs?
I have not, but I keep saying that I'm going to, and I might start doing some. I've done 2 Periscopes, but I hated them, and so like you, I've hit them and I've deleted them, and I'm like, oh my God, that was just absolutely horrible. So I might start doing some individual Blabs and Periscopes.
Okay, cool.
And I keep saying that I'm going to do some, but I don't know if I want to do it by myself because I always just feel like it's talk radio. And I hate talk radio, and I hate just sitting here talking to myself, hoping that people will participate. I'm just a very social person. I need friends. So I do want to do some individually, but I just don't know when or what the topic is going to be.
Yeah.
And everything I want to talk about, I talk about on here. So I don't know that I necessarily need to do an individual Blab.
Right. I don't have a whole lot more to say that I don't say.
I really don't.
We shake out all the dirty laundry and everything on this show.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But one of the comments that I wanted to make, and I know it's 1:15. I don't know how long we're gonna stay on, but I'm sorry, I'm reading Logan's message. But one of the things I wanted to say about writing is that what's surprising about writing and putting things out there is that you actually have way more to say than you think you do. Most people do. And I think I shared earlier that I had gone to this YMCA event where I can't remember the name of the program, but it is designed for youth who are like gang involved and things like that. And so it was a lot of Latino and African American, and it was some white kids as well who participated in this project where they were able to create some type of media, whether it was audio media, some kind of video, or some kind of writing to express their experiences. And it was so fantastic. One, that these kids were able to kind of express whatever happened in their lives, or, you know, like the most impactful thing that happened. It was usually something around gang violence or, you know, something, but it gave them a voice, and it was so cathartic for them. And, you know, and then we got to talk to the kids about like what their process was and how they came to write this and things like that. And it was just amazing what the power of words does, you know, for you in a situation, in terms of giving you the opportunity to express what it is you're feeling, getting out your head or out of your inside, and putting it on paper, or putting it somewhere so that it can live and give, you know, life to what you're feeling.
Right. And I think, you know, I was watching Windy City Live, which is, you know, for those of you that aren't here in Chicago, it's one of our local shows. And there was a gentleman on there today that had spent just 3 days in prison. He got picked up by the police for a gun charge and was in prison for 3 days.
Yes, I saw that. And
just being in prison 3 days, he realized so much how easy his freedom could be taken away from him, that once he returned home at the end of those 3 days, he decided to turn his life around and he became a certified yoga coach, and found that through that stillness and through that mindfulness, that he was able to, you know, have some peace at things. And there are so many people that are out there broken that don't take the time to find those avenues, whether it's through art or some sort of practice, meditation, yoga, whatever it is, even writing, to have those outlets. You know, you wonder why some of these things aren't taught in school. I know when I had my daycare, we did yoga all the time, and kids, and I do yoga with my kids and teaching them how to meditate and be still and live in that moment. And right, it is, Vicki, it is a healing time. It is a very, you know, and the moment that you can be still and be present and be in that moment, a whole nother world opens up for you, you know. And just it's unfortunate that it took this man it took him having to have an experience like that with the police for him to get it, but at least he got it. But there's so many other people that don't get it, you know. So doing that kind of stuff, I see something else coming out of this, Kelly. So, you know, my wheels are turning, you know. So, you know, we can talk about it in our meeting tomorrow. But that just really struck me because, for example, when I was younger, art was it for me. That was my, you know, I used to get into a lot of fights, and, you know, I was always the shortest kid in class, so I got picked on a lot. So I use that as my excuse as to why I got into a bunch of fights, because I had to defend myself. But, you know, it was really, I talked a lot of shit, you know, is what it was. And I didn't have an outlet to release some of the things because I was angry about a lot of different things that were going on in my world around me, right? I didn't really have an outlet. And so I started drawing and entering contests and things like that. And so anyway, Chase says that's where Chase gets it from. So, you know, but it's something to be said for the arts and kids to be able to have, and even adults, you know, be able to have those outlets. So,
and this will take us on a whole nother tangent, so I don't really want to go there, but it's just really sad that, you know, I think within the U.S. they're taking away a lot of the arts for kids. That's because they need those types of things. They need those outlets, and then recess as well too. They need to be able to let loose and scream and get that all out of them. I remember recess was like a release. Yeah. Art class was like so much fun and creative and got my juices flowing. So it helped to prepare me for when I went into math, for when I went into reading. I know that art helped me propel and exceed in reading, where I was in honors reading at that point. And English, I'm really focused on doing a lot of things, and I would combine the two. And I think that it's sad that we have taken that away in America. I think that kids need the arts. We need to really give money into the arts and not take that away.
Yeah, and I think that also, you know, coming from a workforce perspective, the fact that kids are not able to creatively express themselves, it shows up, you know, detrimentally when it's time to be prepared to go to work, because it's something like 61% of HR professionals say that young people are not ready for work because they have terrible communication skills. They don't know how to express themselves. They don't know how to reason. They don't know how to infer. They don't know how to, you know, they don't know how to come up with answers that are not very, very specifically in front of them. And I think that part of being artistic and being, you know, having the ability to express yourself, it helps you to learn how to problem solve as you get older. I watch my 2-year-old now, and she is so extremely creative at 2, you know, where she's, you know, making stories up with her dolls and, you know, everything at 2. And so I'm like, okay, well, how do I find educational programs to keep her in, to make sure that continues to grow, so that as she gets older, she's able to problem solve and come up with answers that are not, you know, have an engineering type mind where you're coming up with answers to problems that don't even exist yet. We need to really help our kids learn those skills, and being creative is one of them. Homeschooling. No, thank you, Terrence.
Yeah,
you are offering.
Terrence and I have been talking about doing homeschooling. We've been flirting around with the idea off and on, but the book Between the World and Me, and I can't say enough about this book. The author really gets into talking about how the community and the things that he faced in his community, you know, shackled his right leg, and then school, you know, shackled his left. And school really doesn't teach you. It's not designed, or at least American school, you know, and those of you that are joining us from, I see some folks from the UK and also South Africa that are joining us. School here in the United States, at least, and maybe you guys have a different perspective there, they don't really teach you to think, to be an independent thinker, to pursue things that interest you, you know, personally, and you know, maybe the Montessori schools at some point, but once the kids get into middle school, then, you know, they're pushed into a different philosophy and that kind of thing, you know. So at what point do we say, as a community, at what point do we, I know we're going completely off, you know, topic of what we're supposed to be doing. This blab was already 1 hour, now we're going into the second hour, you know, but at what point do we say that there needs to be a transition, that it needs to be changed, that we need to have, right, Vicki, it is like a prison. It is. We teach kids to walk in a single file line, to raise their hand to speak, to, you know, and some of that is, you know, a sign of respect to, you know, let the teacher acknowledge you before you speak up or whatever. But I never got that. I never understood that. And when I was a teacher, my students, I didn't have them walk in a single file line because I didn't feel like it was necessary. I felt like they could travel from point A to point B quietly and appropriately, you know, without, you know, distracting or whatever, you know, and when they finished their work and that kind of thing. And they did. And, you know, they walked in groups, you know, some stopped at their lockers, some, you know, did, you know, as along the way. And I just stayed in the hallway to just monitor that while they did it. But so anyway, it really is, you know, what are we training our kids to do? You know, what are we training them to do in schools? You know, work for other people. You know, entrepreneurs, I think, are born out of that rebellious spirit. You know, like we are Rebel Talk Radio. You know, and just rebelling against those kinds of things. But you know, completely off topic, but.
No, I totally agree. And Coach Vicki mentioned something earlier. She said about don't forget music too, and I agree. Is music? It's an outlet as well too. I know that it can change your mood. Music can help to get you motivated or change, you know, anything. I love music, and for kids, that's also a release. Whether it's they're playing an instrument and they're learning how to do something, or whether they're having a release when they're listening to that music, or building more creativity with that music. I mean, there's so much things within the arts that we need to keep within our school.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that stuff is so innate. And if you watch, and I hate to compare babies to animals, but I have a baby and I have a big old Cane Corso who made his appearance a couple of minutes ago. But, you know, it's so funny. He got in so much yesterday because we have a huge backyard. We have like 1.5 acres of land. And I took him out you know, he's been in the house because it's cold and he's a big baby. So he's like Marmaduke, he's sliding all over the ice because he doesn't have his footing real good. So I happened to let him out to use the bath.
Have boots for him.
You know what? I'm not buying no boots for no doggone dog, Kylie. He gonna have to figure it out. He got pads on the bottom of his feet for God's sake.
Let's go.
Yeah, he's all right. And yesterday proves it because I let him out. And see, he doesn't listen to me like he listens to Keith. But I let him out to use the restroom, and he just took off running. And I could not get him back in the house. Like I was out there like a crazy person, like, get back in this house, get back in. He was like, no, I am free and I'm not going back to the plantation. And it took me like 20 minutes to get the damn dog back in the house. But it's so funny because being able to express yourself and just run and be free and, you know, just not be contained is an innate desire that everybody has. And even, you know, with my baby, we go out to dinner, and if it's music playing, she just goes, Mommy, I gotta dance. I need to dance. And she just gets up no matter where we are, and she's dancing. And it's so funny because with my friend circle, they consider her like the little dancer, because no matter where we are, she hears music and she wants to sing and she wants to dance. And that is such a good thing that I don't ever want to, you know, to take away from her, is so that I have self-expression. That's right, Vicky. But to allow her to be able to be expressive. And also, you know, as the parenting expert that I am becoming, you know, one of the things that active parenting does is make sure that you're able to understand those things in your children so that you can make sure that you are putting them in situations that complement them. And so as I'm looking for preschool, and I know, Kylie, how you feel about the whole, you know, paid school thing as opposed to public school, but one of the things that I really liked about
preschool is different though.
Preschool is different. Okay. But one of the things that I liked about the school that I'm looking at for her is that they have, and I forget what they call it, but it's something like project-based teaching. So if a kid comes in with a question or, you know, they observe something, they use it as a teachable moment. It's not Montessori, but it is bringing in their natural curiosities into the way that they are, you know, that they structure their learning. And I thought that was so dynamic. Of a concept that I really, really liked it. But also utilizing that same technique when we're at home. If she asks a question, we'll go get a book. Or if we're playing a song, you know, and we're learning the words, she goes, what does that mean, or whatever, having a conversation about it. But it's the way that art and writing and music all intersects real life. It's not a extra thing, you know, that people can put in or take out of school, but it's something so vital to just the way we think and learn that I think that we have to figure out how to encourage that moving forward in our, not just in our children, but in our lives as well. I know sometimes I go write something to keep from hitting my husband in the head. You know, I was like, okay, let me just sit down and write how I feel about this. I'm just playing, Keith. I'm just playing. But I think that, you know, I think it's totally natural and fundamental, like Vicky just said. Yes.
Yeah, you know, and just really honing in. And I think, you know, if my mother had the resources at the time when I was growing up, like I wanted to dance, you know, I talk about a chapter in my book where I talk about this alternate childhood that I had, where I took ballet and I took jazz and I took tap and acting classes and all these different things. And I was this dainty little girl, and I had perfect ponytails and all that kind of stuff, instead of being the tomboy racing barefoot down the street like I was, you know. So, yeah. You know, and I think the more you expose to your kids, you know, and I know it drives my husband crazy because every other, you know, month I'm signing the kids up for something else or trying to find something else for them to get into. And you just never know what, you know, your child will hold on to, what they will have an interest in. And like you said, she may be this great, you know, artist at some point, you know,
or she might be lousy at all of it, but at least it gave her the opportunity to express herself and to express whatever it was or is that she's going through right now, or at the moment that she's going through it. And so, you know, even if she never becomes a great singer or dancer or writer, I want her to at least have the skills to be able to express what she's going through or how she's feeling about something.
Yeah, and that gives her, not only that, it gives her exposure to it in the beginning. So if she feels the need to go into it later in life, then she can. I mean, I remember I started writing poetry in the 8th grade. Little did I
Wow.
know that this would become my life
Yeah.
of me writing. I never thought that that would happen. So me writing
Yeah.
poetry in the 8th grade, and thank God my mom wasn't like, girl, you ain't got time to be writing no poems and tearing it up and put that stuff away and keeping me from hanging stuff on my wall that I wrote and things like that. Instead, she encouraged me and she liked what I wrote, and it started to progress as the years went on. And then at some point, yes, I did stop. But then I thought about it after I went through a lot of different things in life. I came back to say, what is it that made me happy? What was I doing when I was the happiest? I love writing. Wow, who knew? I love beauty. Let's put them together.
You know, yeah, and that's so funny because I did not know that I liked writing. I was good at it, you know, because I was always in auras. I liked talking more than anything. However, I do know that the way you speak, I think it's the way you speak is the way you write or something like that. I forget how they're connected, but I always like to talk. And I was in oratory contests, and I always got in trouble for talking too much in school and all of that. But I was always very expressive, even in a not so good way with my mother. I was very expressive, always letting people know exactly how I felt. But what happened was when I was in college, I was actually a pre-med major, and I was right, exactly. I was meeting with my counselor, and he was like, okay, so why do you keep taking biology and you're not doing so well? He was like, you do really well in English. Why don't you, go down? And I was like, I don't want to write. There's nothing that I want to do in English or writing. And so as I kept going through it, and the better I got at it, not really better. Well, I did get better, but I guess learning new tools and how to express myself, I was like, okay, this might be something. No, I'm not even gonna lie. I was like, okay, I can get the hell out of college in 4 years if I do English, because I can do that. I get straight A's in it. I like literature and reading, so the hell with it. I'll figure it out later. So that's what I did. But it was after I had graduated, my mother was looking through a notebook again, going back to we don't like other people to read our writing. My mother happened to be going through one of my notebooks, and she was like, oh my God, this is so good. What you wrote? And I'm like, Mom, why are you going through my stuff? And she was like, but Kelly, this poetry is so good. Like, why didn't you publish it? And even in college, all my professors tried to get me to publish my writing. And I was like, no, not interested.
That book of poems is coming out again.
Right.
Never.
Coming out when? What? February.
You know what? Before I publish anything, I'm going to have to figure out how to write something intellectually funny.
Pot, meat, kettle, meat, pot.
Huh?
Pot, meat, kettle, meat, pot.
Oh no, I'm not calling anybody out on their writing stuff. Not at all, because I know that I am the biggest procrastinator when it comes to putting stuff out there. But I do have to, because I like really serious topics. But you all know how silly I am, and I can never have a serious moment. So I have to figure out how to write how to write what I want to write humorously, but not take away from the seriousness of the subject matter. So once I figure that out, I will put something out. But
let's start.
Anyway,
let's do it.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Just start. Just do it.
So I think what I'm going to start out with, so on my Twitter page, on my Parenting in Color Twitter page, I always put out what parenting in color is, and it's always really silly stuff. And going back to something you said earlier, Renee, it's like just stuff that goes on in my day-to-day life. Like my friend told me one time that he was like, Kelly, your life is a comedy. Like, you really should write a book about your life. People would not believe it. Yeah. But so today my Parenting in Color tweet was that I'm trying not to have a panic or hypothermic attack while my 2-year-old has locked me out of the house. And I'm sitting there going, I went to heat up the car, and she turned the lock and slammed the door. Now she's 2 in the house. I'm outside. It's not only is it cold, but I'm locked out, and I'm sitting here going, okay, I have to act like this is supposed to happen so she doesn't have a breakdown and figure out how to get back in the house. So I have to run across the street to my neighbor's house, call my husband, who luckily works like 3 minutes from the house, like, can you please come back and open the damn door? The kid has locked me out. And I have to sit there and entertain her from the outside. And she's like, mommy, come back in. I'm like, I'm trying to. But like, this is my life. This is my life. This is the stuff that real life happens to me. Just the other day, I ran out of gas on the corner of my house because I had to pee.
Because then you're going to get my husband started because I forget to put gas in the car.
Oh, God.
I'm glad you're saying this, Kylie. I really am, because first of all,
that's not my job.
Keith, did you hear that? I say this all the time. I was like, if you could just, I'll give you the money. Can you just fill my car up on Mondays? And like, I don't want to do that. But this particular time, I actually had the money. I was going to stop for gas. The baby was in the car and she was asleep and I had to pee so bad. And I'm like, okay, I don't want to go to the gas station and go in while she sleeps so she can wake up and be in the car by herself. I didn't want to leave her in the car that long. I'm like, so I can make it home and back, drop her off and go use the bathroom and go back and get gas. And I hit that corner and my car just cut off. And I was like, I sat there for about 3 minutes like, okay, what am I going to say to him when I call? And like, you can't get mad when he gets mad at you. Just let him have his moment. But I was like, babe, can you come and get us? We're at the corner and we're out of gas, you know? And it's just like, this is my life. So I'm going to write a book about just the craziness that goes on in my world.
The Kelly Chronicles is going to be the name of it.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I totally get it. I feel like some things are just not, you know, they just are not my deal. You know, and taking out trash, you know, putting gas in the tank.
Anything having to do with yard work or
I don't mind gardening, but I'm not going to cut the grass. I don't mind gardening.
I ain't
cutting the grass.
Girl, I have bought probably about $12,000 worth of plants that have died sitting on the sidewalk because I don't want to plant them.
The Kelly Chronicles.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You know, I used to have the Walmart Chronicles because every time I go in Walmart, like stuff that you wouldn't believe happens in Walmart. But yeah, I'm gonna start so I don't feel like washing dishes.
No, that's my husband. I don't feel like washing dishes. Well, stop piling them up in the dish sink in the middle of the night. See, that is gonna be a personal show now.
That's funny. But yeah, so maybe I will get my piece out, the Kelly Chronicles, Renee. I appreciate that. Bye, Keith.
Bye, Keith.
Bye, Keith.
He said bye, everybody.
Right, he got a whole chorus of folks. Yeah. All right, you guys. Well, it has been absolutely awesome. Tara says, "Don't go, Keith."
he needs some support.
Right. We thank everyone for joining us today. We really appreciate everyone's input and feedback, and also hearing from the wonderful authors that we've had today. We've had our awesome honorary rebel girl, Logan, with her book Casualty of Love. So if you get an opportunity, pick that up. That was an absolute awesome read. We've also had our very own Renee B with her book, I'm Beauty Inspired, Beauty School Scarlet. And would love, Renee, don't forget to post where you can receive that. I see. Okay, she's posted her website where you can pick up her book. Logan, if you can post your, yes, you do need to come north and hang out. We are going to have a Rebel Bash party or something soon. And we can do some live tweeting and periscoping and blabbing and all that kind of stuff. And then Kelly Chronicles will be coming out soon as well in February.
It might be called Shit That Happens in My Life.
I'm a Christian, but I still curse.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
That's the subtitle.
Love the Lord.
And then my book, Becoming Big Girl, will be coming out really soon. Wait on my husband to send me on that getaway. Hint, hint, hint this month. So we definitely appreciate everyone's support. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook at Rebel Talk Radio. We are Rebel Talk Radio. I'm Kylie Renee.
I'm Kelly Michelle.
And I am Renee B.
And we
are
Rebel Talk Radio.
Yep, what she said.
Peace, y'all. Don't forget to join us again on Friday at noon. We're going to change the format up a little bit, so more details to follow soon. So don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all of those things. And also, don't forget to tweet, tell a little birdie. And it's going to be interesting to see the replay from this. I like to watch the replays because I think we cracked each other up. So you guys crack me up. I like watching it again. I miss stuff that I laugh about later on. So, but thank you for everyone that's joining, and you have a wonderful, awesome week. Peace.
Bye, everybody.